Yo, 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 what is going on, everybody? Gabriel Santos here, and in today's video, we're going to talk about New Year's resolutions. All right, so the New Year's is upon us, and I know many of us are excited and present with the possibility of change, right? And that's always very exciting. And so today, we're going to talk about four topics, and these can be applied to any journey you take on when it comes to personal change. All right, and these are things that I've found very relevant in my experience. And so this is not the whole gambit of things, but these are some critical points that I want to talk about with you guys today. All right, so um, let's first start with emotional home. Okay, emotional home. And so when it comes to change, right, especially New Year's resolutions, I imagine if you're watching this, you are familiar with starting and stopping and never quite seeing the New Year's resolution all the way through, right? And so you're looking for some kind of clarity. And so what the emotional home is are the emotions as well as the thoughts and the overall way of being that we get used to over time. And so if you're someone who is used to starting and stopping and never getting things done and never accomplishing a goal, then your emotional home is one of someone who fails, someone who doesn't have the results, someone who wants but doesn't have, someone who wishes but doesn't, accomplish. And that's not a bash, that's not a judgment, that is a observation. And so if you're rather something to take a look at is, or something to be aware of, right, is as you go along your New Year's resolutions, to be aware of your emotional home, right? Because what often happens is around the 1 month mark, 2 month mark, we start to feel this resistance, right? This desire for comfort. And we're actually going to talk about comfort a little bit later on. But this desire for like a normalcy, right? A desire for what you're used to. And if let's say your resolution is to lose weight and be in shape, what you're probably used to is not having to, doing whatever you feel like, right? Doing what feels good in the moment. Not committing to structure, not committing to sacrifice, right? And so if your emotional home is comfort, pleasure, indulgence, and saying fuck it, I'll do it tomorrow, then that is going to be one of the things to be aware of and honestly transform and combat, right? So you're going to be someone who wants to go from basically the emotional home of like trying and giving up to trying and pulling through. And what that looks like is, in the 1 month mark, the 2 month mark, feeling that resistance and feeling that desire to quit, to give up, to say F it, whatever, right? To feel that at the 1 month mark, 2 month mark and be like, okay, no, right? You're training yourself to a new emotional home. And that takes repetition. It takes repetition. But the awareness of the emotional home is a great place to start. That way you can now see it and not be run by it, and then make a new decision and continue moving forward with your goals. All right, so that's the first part. The second one is being mindful of unrealistic expectations. All right, so let's stick with the weight loss and the strength goal that I know many of us have. There's a number of different factors here, but one clear unrealistic expectation is that it's gonna happen overnight. And in fact, not only is it not going to happen overnight, it's not going to happen over a week or 2 weeks, and even not even a month. Obviously, you'll see changes and you feel changes, but the point is that um, rather than setting yourself up for failure with unrealistic expectation, instead is to get grounded and present with what the true expectations, right? The realistic expectations are based on your actions, right? And so I know that for many of us, fitness and nutrition is kind of like a wonky subject because many of us, have yet to figure that one out. But generally speaking, what realistic expectations look like is like, let me just be straight up, like, in order to lose weight and be strong, you really have to put in that work on a consistent basis over time. And I think what happens with a lot of us is we expect results based on how much effort we're putting in. And as we all know, exercise and nutrition takes a significant amount of effort, and sometimes the results don't match that effort, right, in a short amount of time. And so based on what your goal is, make sure to be present with what the true realistic expectations are based on your sense of action, your sense of urgency, and your commitment. All right. Another thing to be mindful of in terms of unrealistic expectation is, and I've said this in previous videos, being mindful of that, or take a look. Are you really? What are you achieving this goal for? Because what I found for myself is a lot of times when I had New Year's resolutions, my secret agenda was to accomplish a sense of security, a sense of self-worth, a sense of feeling good enough. Right? It wasn't about being in shape, it was about wanting to feel good enough. And sometimes we associate a certain goal with a certain emotion or value that doesn't necessarily equate, meaning if what I'm looking for is self-worth, security, and feeling good enough, I probably ought to take a look inward and not seek to gain worthiness through, being in shape or making a bunch of money. Right? So I guess my point here is take a look at why. Why are you actually doing this goal? What's the purpose of this? And get clarity on if it's for a real purpose or if you're trying to fill a void, right? Filling a void versus an actual purpose, right? That's another thing to take a look at. The next thing to take a look at, we're getting a little more to the practical side, is no accountability, right? Or rather, you need accountability, especially for things that are going to take a long time, like fitness and nutrition. Right? And I know maybe you have resistance to accountability, but if I can be brutally honest, if you've yet to have the results that you're looking for on your own, then maybe, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, okay? Accountability for me, when it comes to fitness and nutrition, that was one of the main ways that I was able to accomplish my goals a couple years ago. And from the simple nature of, certain goals require certain actions and they are irrefutable. And so accountability is a way for you to get some leverage to then take the action. And so if you're someone who doesn't have accountability, right, you have no accountability, in terms of practicality and strategy, and effectiveness, that's not in your favor, right? What is in your favor is to have accountability, to have a group, to have someone else you're giving your word to, your commitment to hold you down. Because what happens with all of us is, or most of us rather, is, we say we're gonna work out this week, but it's easy to also be like, meh. But when you give your word to someone, accountability, it creates a leverage, an extra sense of energy, an extra sense of commitment, an extra sense of meaning and purpose behind getting something done. And not only that, there is power in leveraging, that's the word of the day right now, leverage, in leveraging the energy of people who want you to succeed. Right? So instead of it being you just alone and oh my gosh, there's power in having two or more people, right, in unity towards the same goal. Now, obviously, they're not going to lift the weights for you. They're not going to eat the salad for you. But to have someone who is in your corner, right, and holding the space for you to make something happen in your life, that's powerful. And that's exactly what I do as a coach for people, right? I hold the space for people's growth, right? Anyways, so accountability. Okay, last but not least is prioritizing commitment over comfort. Commitment over comfort. Okay. I think that one's pretty obvious, right? Commitment over comfort. But I think where a lot of us, and this really kind of ties us back with the emotional home piece. Okay. Your emotional home, right, prior to the change you're going to be going through, is likely one of comfort, right? Pleasure, indulgence, excuses, things of that nature. And so if you're committed to a certain goal, it is in your best interest to prioritize committing to the action, committing to what must get done, committing to the blueprint, as opposed to committing to the comfort. And maybe one last skill to give you guys, and just something to meditate upon, is and this is something many of you have heard before, but the willingness to do it even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. Now, there is room for imperfection here, okay, and I'm kind of doing some improv here, okay. I know you guys can probably see the outline, so bear with that, my OCD people. I get it. Okay, we don't want perfection. Although perfection is I get it. That's a great expectation for yourself to set a standard. But, okay, let me just end it with this, okay? What we're looking for is an improvement in your ratio of on versus off. Okay? What most people are used to, right? For someone who hasn't created change in their life, is that they are on 10%. Oh God. They are on 10% of the time and off 90% of the time. Okay? And what I mean by on is, on the plan, right? Exercising, nutrition, right? Chicken, salad, greens, right? Proper carbohydrates. And off 90% of the time. Excuses, sweets, whatever, no structure, who gives a fuck, whatever, blah, 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 blah. And I think what happens is when we dedicate ourselves upon a change, we then go to like 100% on and never off, okay? And although this is a standard that many of the greats do, my encouragement to you is to let go of this expectation and standard. Why? Because it doesn't work. And what I mean by that is we need to give ourselves time to be off, right? Time to eat the cookie, time to not count the calories, time to just be like, whatever, to have an excuse, whatever, okay? But the ultimate point is to reverse this ratio, right? How about like 75% on, 25% off? And then based on the results you're getting, the rate of speed that you're getting the results, as well as the process that you're getting it, you can adjust this, right? Because 100% on it lacks flexibility, it lacks compassion in a lot of ways. And what I mean by that is it's like really, sometimes you need a fucking day off. Sometimes you need a day off, right? And so what we're looking for here as you head into the new year is stay on track 75% of the time, and then 25% of the time, give yourself some slack. right? But compared to 10%, can you even see that? 10%, 75% versus 10%, that's huge, right? And 90% versus 20%, that's huge. Okay? Imagine what kind of change would come, right? The person that is on their plan at least 3/4 of the time versus the person who's on the plan 1/10. It's a world of difference. In fact, I would gather to bet, is that even a saying? I would bet that most of your guys' goals could easily be achieved if you were just to be on 75% of the time. Because that's a lot. That's 3/4 of the year, right? Whereas for most people, it's reverse, right? So my point here with that is that there's still room to be a slob. There's still room for you to be lazy. There's still room for you to just like veg out on the couch and have chips. 25% of the time. 25% of the time, right? And you adjust this ratio based off of, the results you want, how quickly you want them, and what type of lifestyle you want to have along the way. Okay. So that's it. New Year's resolution. I think we're going to talk about this a good amount through the end of the year. And so hopefully you guys found this video well. If you are someone who is looking to work with someone to support you on your journey this next year, consider working with me, guys. Reach out to me via email or Instagram. We can get a session to talk, to work through some of what you're going through and see if we're a good fit, okay? The type of people that I'm looking for, people who are committed to their goals, obviously, but even more than that, people who have a good amount of self-awareness. If you like Tony Robbins, if you like Alan Watts, if you like, Eckhart Tolle, if you like Elliot Hulse, these are the people that I've studied throughout the years, and so we'll have a language that we can utilize, right? But overall, my intention with all of you is for you to get the goals you want and to have the fulfillment on a day-to-day basis within yourself, right? So it's both the tangible results as well as the inner experience, right? And the alignment and the marriage of both of those together, right? That I'm looking to help and support people with. All right, so that's it. New Year's resolution videos. There will be more through the end of the year. Appreciate you guys for watching. If you're at this point in the video, I love you. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.